Hello and welcome to another episode of Five Deep, a podcast where five podcasters from around the world, or around the globe, or around the universe get together each week to achieve their goals through accountability. Good evening, people. How the hell are we?
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
How's it going? We'll start off with you, Lee. How are you?
Oh,
How are you
dude,
doing?
I'm unstoppable.
Unstoppable. Tell us for why. What have you been unstoppable in?
I won't go into too much detail, but I was listening to this guy the other day, and whenever you ask somebody how they are, what do they normally say? I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm all right.
Don't let me tell you
I'm
what
okay.
that stands for.
Yeah. And he says, I'm not fine. I'm unstoppable. So today, unstoppable.
Have I told y'all what FINE stands for?
Go on, you're going to.
Fucked up, insecure, neurotic, and empty.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'll never say I'm fine. Anyway,
So the next time somebody asks you, don't say fine. Say anything other than fine.
No, say I'm fucked up, insecure.
How are you anyway, Harmony? And don't say fine. How are you?
I'm fantastic. It's Monday.
Yeah.
I'm ready to dominate. I've already gotten some co-working in today. Most of that done by myself alone, but I did meet a girlfriend today at a restaurant and we shut the shit. So we've set a goal. I told her, was very honest, I need to start waking up earlier. I had to have a come to Jesus with myself. I don't wake up as early as I could. And there's days where, you need some rest. And there's days where, just get your ass up out of bed, do the 5-second countdown,
Yes.
So that's been my learning lesson for the week is get your ass up out of bed earlier.
I struggled this morning. I had to set my alarm clock for 5 o'clock and I struggled and I didn't get up until nearly 6 o'clock.
Well, that's still early.
It is. But, I always set my alarm clock for an hour earlier than what I do actually have to get up because some days it can be quite, a hard one. What about you, Rodney? Have you had a good day?
Yeah, and I'm doing fine. Did I ever tell you what fantastic stands for?
Go on.
I don't have anything. I'm sorry. No, I'm good. I had a really productive week of work, and I got my recertification done. 20 hours of online classes for emergency medical responder. So I can get my stipend at the end of the year. They cut me a check, and I'm good, man.
Sweet. Well, we are going live on YouTube as we speak, as well as doing the podcast. It's awesome that we're now on this platform, YouTube. So if there's anybody there that wants to join us and send in a question, feel free to do so. We've got a couple of topics that we're going to talk about today. We're going to be talking about how do you self-identify, and Harmony's going to be going into a little bit of depth about that in a minute. We're also at the end of the podcast. We're going to be talking about March's goals, how we did, looking at April's goals, looking forward into the future. But before we do that, I've got a question that I'd like to ask you guys. Right? If ever you get a puncture in your car, when you're driving along the road and there's a car beside the road, and he's got a flat tire. Right, and he sat there waiting for the AA or the RAC, the emergency services, to turn up. How does it make you feel, Lee?
Makes me feel like this guy has obviously got more time on his hands than is necessary, and I think you should always call somebody in every instance you possibly get. No, get off your ass, get out the car and change the goddamn tire.
This is something that we was discussing funny enough, in our Voxer group all day today, and it was a conversation that was brought up by Lee. It must have been about nearly a week ago, to be honest with you, but for some reason we've been talking about it today, and it kind of riled you a little bit, Lee, didn't it? How when you was driving by, there's a bloke sat in his car. And he couldn't be asked to get out and change his wheel. And, it did start up a right debate. Howard said that he doesn't even know how to change a tyre. Now, I don't know where he is. He'll be back in a minute. But he doesn't even know how to change a tyre. He doesn't even know how to drive a manual gearbox in a car.
I wish y'all could have seen my facial expression when he was like, I don't know how to do it. I was like, what the fuck? I want to jump through this phone.
I don't know how to drive stick shift. Sorry, I never learned how to drive.
What's stick shift?
What's this?
Manual.
That's manual.
Yeah. See, the thing is, Lee, in America,
speak for yourself.
all you've got to do is get in a car, right, and just drive around the block. And I think you've passed your driving test over in the States.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta, put your legs into the shape of a pretzel and do backflips over here. It's ridiculous.
Well, I was gonna say, don't you guys have to do your train? Do you have to pay for lessons before you can get your driver's license? Right? That's a have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have to do that over here. You just have to you become of age, you go down there, you take a test. If you pass the computer test, then you take they put you in the car. Somebody's with you with the clipboard, and then you have to pass both of those, and then they give you your driver's license.
Well, I think now though, I think that if you're 16, because that's when I think most of the states, 16, you have to go to driving school, and then they have these like rules where you can't, for like the first year, you can't have anybody that's not over 20. You can't have anybody that's not over 21 in a car with you when you're first like year. It's like all kinds of stuff that they do, but I don't, nobody, the school, the test, that's a standard that they want you to know, but nobody really drives 10 and 2. Like is that something over there, 10 and 2 for you guys?
I don't know what you're talking about.
10 and
The
2.
steering.
Yeah. In Cornwall, right,
I'll go like that.
we had in Cornwall, right? You can drive a tractor at the age of about 12, but you can't drive a car till you're 16. So you get kids just caning around in tractors to drive to the pub and stuff like that. It's crazy.
Really?
But yeah, really. You can drive a tractor. I mean, I used to live with a guy. He had a big house, and he used to get loads of Dutchy college girls that used to rent his house out. He had a 20-bedroom house, and I used to live in this house with all these girls and that. It was a horrible time in my life. I hated every minute of it.
I bet it was.
But we used to,
Fucking Mark Jeffrey and the Duchettes.
we used to jump in the back of his pickup. We used to go down to the pub. And we used to, have a few drinks in the pub. And then because you couldn't drink and drive, he used to drive his Subaru pickup across country, across all of his fields, all the way home, shoot a few rabbits on the way, and, be back for, sunrise. There we are. Anyway, I was in work today, and it was the first time in a long time that I actually fancied a chocolate bar. So I went up to my local Spar, and I was looking at the shelf, and there's all of these chocolate bars on the shelf, and I looked at all these chocolate bars, and I thought to myself, I wonder what chocolate bar you could identify yourself as. So we'll start off with you, Lee. If you was the chocolate bar, how would you what chocolate bar would you identify as? Because I would say
I'll identify all of you guys.
Go on.
Go for it.
What would you say, Rodney? How would Lee identify as a chocolate bar?
Lee, white chocolate. Mark, white chocolate. Harmony, white chocolate. Me, dark chocolate. That's it.
I would say that Lee was a bit of a Yorkie. A big chunky Yorkie, a manly chocolate. He's definitely a Yorkie bar. Would you be happy with that, Lee?
I'll take that. Yeah.
We don't have Yorkie bars over here.
Do you not have?
I was going to go for a Snickers because it's full of fucking nuts. But
no. I've got Howard down as a Snickers bar because
yeah.
Me, right? A Snickers bar is a dirty bar, and it's full of nuts, and it's just like if you're in the shop and you fancy something a little bit dirty and a little bit, you'd have get that Snickers bar and give it a good cut. So I would say that Howard's got to be a Snickers bar. What would you say Harmony is?
Harmony's going to be Galaxy Caramel.
Ooh,
well, yes,
creamy.
I was going to say a Cadbury's caramel, because can you remember years ago that really they used to advertise it with this bunny, it was a bunny rabbit, and she goes, yeah, get a Cadbury's caramel, and she's I would say that you've got to be a Cadbury's caramel.
Didn't they have a different version of it in Cornwall?
Pardon?
Yeah, they had a different version. Yeah, here, come get it.
Caramel bar, yeah, lovely that. What about Rodney? I would say that Rodney has got to be a Bounty bar, right? Because on the outside, right, it's very black. But if you split it open, you've got that coconut, that white coconut, which I would say looks a little bit like his beard.
I don't even know what that is. I don't want to know.
Have you never had a Bounty bar?
I don't think they have those over here.
I never.
I mean, you could probably go to World Market and get all that stuff, because you can get all that different regional different candies at the World Market, but you just can't get them at a gas station or convenience store.
Candy. See, it's not candy, is it? What? How would you describe candy, Lee? It's not chocolate, is it?
Candy are those little weird things that you get at Christmas, aren't they?
Yeah,
Christmas
candy
candies.
canes. Yeah.
Candy is just a
cane.
blanket statement. Candy
Yeah.
is like the umbrella term, and then underneath that, it could be Nerds, it could be Hershey bar, it could be anything.
In America,
In
the UK,
America.
where we do things proper, chocolate is chocolate, biscuits are biscuits, not cookies, biscuits.
Okay, well
Crisp-
then what's
crisp.
candy? What do you call candy?
Candy canes. That's why they're called.
No.
It's
What like do you have Nerds over there? Do you have like Sour Patch Kids?
I'm a nerd.
You don't have Fire Hot, you don't have cinnamon hot those balls?
Lemon heads.
Lemon heads,
No.
I have-
M&Ms. What do you call M&Ms?
Sweets.
Mum and
That's-
Ums.
Oh, it's sweets. Okay, for the love of Christ. Okay, sweets. Well, that's candy over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all candy. It's just different kind of candy. It's chocolate,
Chocolate
candy.
nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, LL Cool. Who sang the Candy Shop? Lick my lollipop. Was that
50
LL?
cent.
50 cents. Sorry,
Look
LL.
into
Big
the
Fitty.
candy shop. So what would I be then, guys? What chocolate bar would I be? I was thinking a big, chunky Toblerone.
No, that's
No,
that's
Twister.
too elegant. It's too elegant.
Come on then, break it to me. What chocolate bar am I?
He's a Kit Kat.
Why? Because I
Kit Kat, it's two
can give 4 fingers.
Kit Kat Junkie.
Anyway, guys.
Fucking hell.
In a bit, we're going to be talking about our
No,
goals.
you're pork scratchings. That's what you are.
You can't have a vegetarian.
Okay, pork scratchings now. Is that a chicharron? Pork rinds?
Oh, what the
Uh,
hell?
Is that? I was gonna say that sounds like pork rinds or
Yeah.
chicharrones. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the ones where you get bits of fur on, you know, like
no,
geez.
we don't have. Who's packaging your fucking pork rinds? We don't have
Fur-
fur on our pork
Furry
rinds
candy.
over here.
Yeah, you eating
So
furry.
America, before you cook the pig, you shave it first, yeah?
They don't have a whole lot of hair. It just comes off in the cooking. It's not like a chicken.
Pigs-
It's not like
Pigs have
feathers.
got hair. Pigs have got hair. If we stopped eating pigs, they would grow loads of hair. They would. Honest. I'm not bullshitting you. Pigs are naturally hairy.
Okay, I know, but what I'm saying is I've never had a pork rind with fur on it
It's not
or
fun.
hair. Like I've
It's-
never pulled a pork rind out of the bag to eat it, and there's a piece of hair on it. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
we gotta talk about y'all regulations and stuff.
You
Like
need, you need to come to the UK. When you're sat in a pub and you're having a pint and you get a packet of pork skin out, that's what I call it, and you open it up and you've got a big hair in the top of it.
Negative, Ghost Rider.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Negative, Ghost Rider. We don't have
Absolutely.
hair
I'd
on
be
our pork
disappointed
rinds.
if it didn't have hair on it.
That's what he said.
Anyway, guys, today's topic, as Harmony has put there kindly below, it says today's topic is self-identity. You got it. So, Harmony, I'm going to chuck this one over to you because I haven't wrote any notes down about this topic, self-identity, because I thought that you could kind of take the reins on this one today, because you've done such a great job in the past, you know, pummeling the shit out of us to try and to get this self-identity. So I thought that you could kind of take over a little bit, really, and tell us a little bit about self-identity and pick one of us to just chuck the shit at and bully and be dominant. We want to see you dominant today.
Well, doesn't really require a whole lot of conversation. It's just, in a nutshell, it's how well do you know yourself? How well do you understand who you are and why you move through the world the way that you do? How closely do you pay attention to your habits? How closely do you pay attention to what you're doing, or are you on autopilot? And I would go as far to say as the majority of the people in the world are on autopilot against their own knowing. It's just you go through life, you go through the habits, you have the goals, you go to work, you do all the fucking shit, you get on your hamster wheel. But I mean, how many people really stop and take the time to get to know themselves? And I think that if you were to look at, 10 of the top leaders in personal development, they would all really have an understanding about self-identity and why it's so important. And asking yourself questions like, why do you do the things that you do?
I thought you were going to say leaders of the world then, because I was just going to ask you, how would you identify Boris Johnson?
He doesn't have any clue what the fuck self-identity is. He probably doesn't even know what day it is.
I saw a picture of him the other day, and it was almost somebody put on YouTube. I think Boris is off to the shops, and he had a pair of like shorts on. He had a pair of shoes on. He had a woolly jumper and a woolly hat on. And he didn't look like the prime minister at all. He looked like a hobo from the street. He looked a right mess. And there is a prime example of somebody that he doesn't really know how he identifies himself. He is somebody that is trying to be somebody else. You see him, how he ruffles his hair up and makes his hair look messy before he goes on a TV show and stuff. He's trying to make himself look younger, be like one of the Gallagher brothers or something like that, isn't he?
Does he ruffle his hair before he goes on camera?
Lee, answer this question.
I mean, it looks like he's had a skinful and he's come out of a bush. Absolute mess. I mean, at least give yourself a bit of a,
I wonder why that is.
Because he wants to be. I think it's because he wants to be seen as a younger guy. He wants to be. He wants to be a hip guy. He wants to be, one of the 90s lads. That's what I think.
Now how sad is that? You've got a world leader. I don't know his story. I don't know his background, but how sad to be somebody of that age bracket and still feel like you have to try and be somebody else. Like, I think that's sad. And I think a lot of people do that. I think we're a very much a pack mentality society, and there's good sides to that and there's bad sides to that. But if you're walking through life, I mean, honestly, your confidence is rooted in how your identity, your confidence and how you feel when you go out into the world is rooted in how you feel about yourself. And on a low scale level, every day, all day, running in the background, like a program on a computer or an app, is your awareness of how you self-identify. And if you don't have a real direct relationship with yourself, you can't have confidence. They go hand in hand. So I feel like, I didn't until recently put a lot of importance in getting to know who I was as a person and really starting to question everything I do, and not in an annoying way, but just like being mindful of why I'm doing the things I'm doing. That's why I mentioned you guys, like everybody and their brother has a goal. I'm going to work out however many days a week. I need to lose 10 pounds. I need to do this. I need to drink more water. But I think a lot of it is, I'm not to say that a lot of these people don't need to be doing that, but I think they're reverberating what they're seeing on social media, and they're reverberating what they think they should be doing for quality of life. And maybe that's not a fix. Maybe that's not their fix. And so what's going to happen is, until they attach to their identity and really understand what it is they need to move forward, and they keep attaching themselves to these goals that everybody else has, they're not going to ever be successful and achieve any of those goals, because those goals are rooted in somebody else's fucking identity. They're not rooted in their own identity. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how do you really suspect that you're going to be able to set a goal and complete and attain that goal if you don't have any idea who the fuck you are as a person? Answer me that.
I got a question for you then. How much confidence does somebody have or not have if they don't give a shit about what they look like, about their appearance?
I think it's all connected. And I think it's something that I would challenge somebody to say, somebody who doesn't give a shit about their appearance, there's bigger fish to fry there, because it can't be something as simple as like, you can be somebody who might not be vain, and you might, you want to be presentable when you go out, but you don't really care about, like, you don't have to have all the embellishments. You know what I mean? But for you to not care how you appear when you go out and present into the outside world, I don't buy that fully. And maybe that's cool, or Boris Johnson wants to fringe his hair up, or these fucking, they're all over the place around here. These kids that think they don't have to lace their boots up. They can't be asked to lace their fucking tie their boots.
I never.
And it's like a casual, like, oh, I'm just so cool. I just rolled out of bed. I've got my hat, my baseball caps, my trucker hat's barely sitting on the top of my head. My boots aren't laced. I'm scuffling around. My pants are hanging off my ass. That's a lot of what goes on around here. And I see it when I'm at the store and stuff. And I'm like, what is this look? Is this a, like, I don't give a fuck about life in general look? Is this, I don't understand it, but I feel like it's all connected. I can't say that enough. It is all connected. You can't be working on yourself and have a sense of identity and be excited about life and all the things and not give a shit about what you look like. They all kind of organically go together. Wouldn't you say?
But these people do care what they look like. Even the people that, like you're talking about, that wear the baseball caps and the baggy jeans and well,
that's the thing of it, is people are trying so hard to be different that they're all ending up the fucking same. Really. I mean, that's what it is. they're seeking their own personal identity, but unfortunately and legitimately so, we've all gone through it. We've all gone through it in some capacity, even if it was when you were in middle school. We've all had a point in our life where we were uncomfortable in our own skin and we didn't feel like we fit in or whatever. Um, but I think it's just that fear of not knowing how to comfortably step outside of the circle and to comfortably have your own individuality, because until recently, individuality wasn't celebrated. Being a part of a group and being in the inside clique and feeling like you were involved in something, and the whole Beverly Hills 90210 bullshit, that was what was in. But to have autonomy and individuality, I think it's like that pendulum again. It's becoming more prevalent slowly but surely for people to have their own individuality, and for it might come out as a heterosexual man that likes to paint his fingernails bright green. There's tons of ways that people are, there's Howard, that are trying to step aside and have their own individuality. But I think a lot of times, if you aren't really trying to get to know who you are underneath your skin on a deep level, it's going to backfire on you.
Isn't it funny there that you was talking about men painting their fingernails, and just as you said that, Harmony, old Howard pops up on the screen there. Good evening, Howard. How the hell are you?
Hey, Howard.
What up?
Hey, hello, everybody. Yes, I do have my fingers painted an unusual normal color.
Just out of
Fingernail
interest,
painting.
do you like Snickers bars?
No,
You don't. That's
my
okay.
brother does.
We've got 2 people watching. I wonder who that is.
2 people watching.
You guys
right?
chime in. I want to know who you are.
Ask
Don't
us a
be trying to-
question.
Yeah,
Ask us a
a
question.
question, or at least
How
who
do
the
you
hell are you?
self-identify? How do you self-identify? And we was talking about Boris Johnson there, Harmony, but perhaps he has got individuality, because he's always comparing himself. He always wants to be Winston Churchill, right? But he doesn't dress up like Winston Churchill. He doesn't wear a suit and a tie like most prime ministers does. Well, all of the time. When like I said, the other day he was wearing shorts, a t-shirt, a sweater, and a woolly hat. So, does he really care what people think about him? Is he happy the way he is, and he's not prepared to show off to the world how other people? He's happy how he is.
What was he that before he was the prime minister? Like, is there?
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe that's who he is. I generally, when I leave the house, I don't really care what people think about what I'm wearing. And most of the time I have on some sweatpants or basketball shorts and some slides. I mean, that's just, I'm going to the
But if
supermarket.
you look sharp rocking what you think is not like casual jammies or outfit or sweats, if you're rocking it and you look great, then
Oh, well, listen.
you know what I'm saying?
No doubt I'm rocking it and I'm looking great. I'm just saying
Absolutely.
I just said I don't care. Like, I generally on those particular days, I don't really care. Like, but when I go to work, I wear a uniform. I want my uniform pressed. I want, my shirt tucked in. I want, I want to look a certain way. It depends on where I'm going. But I don't know. I think I try not to like psychoanalyze everything to the point where that you just can't. I'm just moving. I'm just trying to get from here to there, and a lot of it is for me, I still, like, as far as how I identify, because I had the privilege. I say privilege to counseling and therapy and stuff like that. I still kind of identify as a 5-year-old kid who wanted to protect my mother. So a lot of what I do and a lot of, how I behave and how I move stems from that. I won't go
That's
into
interesting,
I
Rodney.
won't go into like great detail because we got 5 people here, but a lot of what when we started peeling back the layers, a lot of it went right back to that point. So and that's why I do the job I do. That's why my outlook on, bullies and things like that is the way it is, because that, for me, that was where things started. And I identify similarly to that to this day.
Lisa from Connecticut, she loves Snickers bars. Absolutely
Lisa.
loves Snickers bars. Hi, Lisa. Hope you're keeping well. I just want to touch there because you was talking about uniform there, Rodney, right? And we all love a man in uniform, don't we, Lee? But You know,
Shit, if I knew that, I would have came up on it in uniform.
what I'm getting at is Lee wears a uniform for his work. I wear a uniform for my work. Rodney wears a uniform for his work. And what I want to ask Howard is uniforms. When we went to school, we all had to wear a school uniform, right? We had our self-identity taken away from us. How do you, I mean, I appreciate that you have to wear a uniform when you go to work. But what do you think about school uniform? Is it right that we should have to wear a school uniform, or is it wrong because we're having our self-identity taken away from us?
Well, that's a good question. I would, just for me, I would avoid wearing a school uniform. And Sam is going crazy with cartoons in the background here.
It sounds like a monster in your background.
He's watching the little cartoon troll creature, so he's probably trying to imitate it. Just speaking selfishly for me, I'm not in favor of school uniforms. When I went to school, I didn't have to wear a uniform. There were things they told us not to wear, like you couldn't wear a shirt with like drugs on it, advertising drugs, or if it had like curse words on it and stuff. But I mean, yeah, if someone wants to go to school and they wear, I don't know, some favorite bands, or they wear jeans with holes in it, or whatever the case may be, if that's how they like to dress, and as long as they're not bullying other kids, or messing with the teacher or something, cussing them out or whatever, it's like,
so over in the States then, did you not have to wear school uniform? Could you wear what you wanted to?
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't in our school district. No, but there are private schools. I know there are private schools around here where if you see the people walk around with a certain uniform, oh yeah, they go to that school because that's the uniform they wear.
Yeah. See, over here in the UK, we have to wear school uniform. We wear school uniforms, and it's interestingly because I know that you're going on about you've gone about in the past about the education system, how it needs to change. What do you think about, and how do you feel about school uniforms?
School uniforms were introduced because they didn't want to give kids opportunity to create a division. You could see from how they dress and how they present themselves in the past, which is why school uniforms were introduced. And then it was literally that uniformity. Everybody's exactly the same. There's no discrimination on, where you are in the hierarchy of society or wealth or whatever. I see the point, but I also see it as a restriction of a suppression of growth in formative years. I mean, the time you spend at school is very, very important, and I think that perhaps plays a part in suppressing expressiveness that people lack, and then kind of struggle with in their late 20s and early 30s, maybe even into their 40s. You lose that identity. You're like, shit, I mean, take me for example. A couple of years ago, I was like, who the fuck am I? I mean, we went around in circles, us lot in our group. Who am I? What am I doing? What's my purpose? And I think it's something as silly as a school uniform and expression and free thinking, if that was allowed to be more prevalent, if it was allowed to flourish a little bit more, how much of the population later on in their life, how would that compare? Would you still get this a massive part of society running around like headless chickens, not knowing what the hell they're doing? Or would you have people that figure themselves out a little bit quicker and can get on with the lives that they really want to live?
Do you know, did any of you know when you got to a point where you were like questioning who you were and it was time for a little bit of a change? Do you remember that moment in your life, or was it gradual? I
noticed it right as soon as I got to secondary school, because I could see what was going on around me. They were trying to identify me as a member of that school. They were trying to change me as a person from an individual person to a member of a community. And I don't mind being a member of a community, but I will not be forced to be a member of a community. And the problem is that what I noticed that you could see the guys that had lots of money, you could see the guys that had no money because of the school uniforms that they were wearing. Like, you'd have somebody that came to school with all of the school uniform, all ironed and looking, all looking brand new in that lot. And then you had the lads that couldn't afford the school uniform, that came to school without the school emblem on, but just had a blue jumper, that couldn't afford to pay extra to have the school emblem put on it. And it was dividing society in our school. So I was the guy that said, fuck it, I'm going to have my own school uniform. We had all of these rules. You have to wear black trousers. I wore grey corduroy trousers. You have to wear black socks. I wore white socks. You had to wear black shoes. I wore brown brogues. You had to wear a tie. I had my tie tucked in. Everything I did was different because I've got a uniform. I'm wearing the uniform, but I'm fucked if I'm listening to you tell me what uniform I have to wear.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, so you can't.
Yeah, and I don't think. Sorry, go ahead, Rivers.
And I was going to say you can't if the schools, because it's individual schools. So if your parents put you in that school, then it's usually some kind of contract or agreement that you have to wear the uniform. So you don't have that. What you can do, you get creative. Maybe pull your pants up a little bit more, open, leave an extra button open, roll your sleeves up. People would do different things that, to try to separate themselves. But any other thing would be you would have to separate yourself from either your hairstyle or if it was, young ladies, makeups, like that's how you would separate yourself. But as far as a uniform, when you go to a school that has a uniform requirement, it's in the paperwork that they want you in uniform and they'll send you home. So it's not as easy to separate yourself when it comes to the uniform policies in the States.
They can send me home as much as they want. I got sent home loads of times, told to change my shoes and that lot. And I would change my shoes. And then the next day they'd be back on again. Do you know what I mean? And that's just the way I was. And I've never really noticed that until we're talking about this self-identity tonight, that I rebelled against the system as soon as I possibly could. And, I've always worn what I want to wear. You got these people that have got brand new Nikes on and tracksuit bottom trying to look the part. But I used to go to school with a shell suit jacket on, and I used to go to school with a pair of baggy shorts or something. I was always breaking the system to change it to how I wanted to be. How was you, Lee? Was you a fashionable kid in school? You're not now.
I remember my first day of school. You'll probably know what I'm talking about, Mark, but those fluffy jogging trousers that you used to get, the black ones with the tight ankles?
Yeah.
So I had a pair of them with a white shirt and a pair of shoes. How fucked up did I look, right? Completely dysfunctional, trying to fit in because everybody else is wearing the same, and I'm wearing these big, baggy jogging trousers with a pair of pointy shoes, right? Which we couldn't afford shoes. So my shoes had little red tags on them and it said Royal Mail. Because my mum's mate used to work for Royal Mail, so we used to get our shoes for free, and I have to cut the fucking tags off. And I think one day I cut one off and then left the other one on. Anyway, yeah, school, they've got a lot to answer for. They really have. Education systems got a lot to answer for. They're not fit for purpose in this day and age, but that's for a different conversation. But
I wish they would nurture that more, don't you think? Because you guys all have kids. I mean, don't you wish that they would nurture? It's just school is so antiquated with the math and the English and the social studies and the, what they're teaching them in those subjects. I'm not saying they don't need those, but why not teach, how to get a mortgage for a home? Why not teach 401k? Why not teach, how to change a tire? I mean, just like practical things that we can actually use to be a full human being, like things that will help breed that confidence. Because again, it's like that low level of knowing in the background. We always, any given day, know what we can do and what we can't do. And that presents, even though it's an app running in the back of our human system, we still have an awareness about our capabilities when we go out into the world every day. And it's important. You might not be able to fucking use it. You might not have to use it for anything, but it's important to have skills. It's important to gain skills. It's important. Yes. Can you hire out for things? Yes, you can. But doesn't mean, like, I think somebody left a check-in on Voxer today, that you have the ability to do it, but unless you're in a situation, you're going to hire out. And that's fantastic. I think it's good if you've got the money to hire out and have somebody do this, that, and the other thing, regardless of what it is, cleaning your windows or changing your oil. But to have skills that you deem important in your life, whatever those skills are it's so important for forward motion and growth. I just believe that. And I don't know how you guys feel about that, and like how important are life skills to have?
They're very important, but the problem is it's very, very difficult for the education system to let everybody choose their skills, isn't it? They have to put something in place. They have to say, right, you're going to learn English, maths, and science, even though you may want to be a footballer or something, right? Which really those three things aren't going to interest you at all. But then you might want a guy down the road that wants to be a stamp collector, or you got a bloke down the road that wants to be, you know, an estate agent. You know, you've got to put some education in place, and it's not going to be great for everybody, but you know, you can't let everybody pick and choose what they want to do, because there's just not enough teachers, there's not enough time, there's not, you know, I find it's very difficult for the education system to be able to help everybody. But the problem is I didn't want to learn about General Custer. I didn't want to learn about how penicillin was made. It was a total waste of time, me learning that in history, because I couldn't give two shits. I'm allergic to penicillin, so why do I want to know about it? You know, a guy that was, you know, shooting Indians. How is that going to affect me in my lifetime? But it might be interesting to somebody else. But who? I don't know. You know.
Well,
I would disagree.
Go on. I thought you would. What have you got to say, Lee?
I'll let Rodney go first, because
I was going to say that.
So you carry on.
I was going to say that's just it. You don't know how. Like, I went to a trade high school, and what they would do was you would get a week each. You would get a group of kids, and you would get a week of exploratory through each individual shop. And then at the end of your exploratory period, you would pick your top three choices of what you actually wanted, what kind of trade you wanted to go through. So, for instance, carpentry, hairdressing, or what I took was graphic communication. So there are trade schools that do that, and they and they allow you to pick. But I get what you're saying. It's just, how early do you do that? How early do you get? At what age are you going to direct kids into a certain thing? Because I know what I wanted to do in 7th and 8th grade changed, you know, what I thought I would be doing in the 9th grade. And even though I got a secondary diploma in graphic communications, I only did that for 2 years right out of high school. I haven't looked back at that particular trade. So it's so much growth and so many different changes to your body, to your mind. How early do you want to direct somebody to a particular, whether it's a trade or, a niche or a way of life? How early you want to, how early are we talking?
Well, also, how important would it be to really take a holistic approach in a standard school towards this like rearing this individual? Because these kids are at these schools with these teachers for, equal amount of time that they're at home. And if you include sleeping hours, they're at school and around those people more than they are with their families sometimes. And it's such an important, like, if I would have had support, a different kind of support in school, I would have gained more from the experience. But I had so much shit going on at home that I really didn't give a fuck about doing a book report. You can take the book and shove it up your ass. Like, I really, give me a F. Like, what's the long term? I'm trying to worry about, is somebody going to beat the shit out of my mom tonight? And you're asking me to do a book report. I don't care about your book report. And I'd never, ever, ever felt supported. In other words, beyond what I was capable of offering the teacher by way of homework or reports or any of that shit, and making sure that I was quiet in the back of the room, which was near impossible. Nobody gave a shit about me. I didn't feel cared for in any part of school at all. Ever did I ever feel cared for, except for when I did something wrong, which I did a lot. I talked a lot. I was goofing off a lot. I know. And so I would get sent to the principal's office, and I would get in school suspension, and I would get demerits and detention, and I was late for school, all the time. So I felt like, because of what I had going on in my life, And the fact that nobody ever asked me or had any concern about that. And it was also the 80s, you know, but still, I felt like there was no chance of success on my end. Like there was nobody asked me what's going on at home. Like they didn't give a shit beyond whether I turned in my projects or whatever. Nobody cared what was going on with me. And really, if you think about it, it's the same thing applies as an adult. If you're in some kind of a survival mode as a 5-year-old, as a 12-year-old, as a fucking 18-year-old, as a college student, if you can't function in life as an adult with all these tools available around you because you don't have the ability to know who you are, if you don't know who you are, you can't ask for what you need, then how the hell they expect us to function like that as a kid? You know what I mean? And so I feel like there needs to be more nurturing and like caring what's going on beyond the obvious, I guess I should say.
But is that possible to do to every single person in the school?
I mean, I don't know. That's a hard question.
Somebody's giving feedback here, I think.
Yeah, no, why are we getting feedback?
Does everybody have on headphones?
Yeah. It's gone now. Yeah, no, I mean,
Test.
What was we saying? Where was we there at Harmony? What was you saying?
She was saying, how do you expect, kids to know? So before you go, I was just going to say it was different for me when, because I dropped out for a year. And when I went back, teachers, and this is in high school, is 2 teachers in particular, like dragged me to the finish line. They were like, stay after, get some extra credit. Hey, they were like into what I was doing and what was going on.
They were invested in you.
Yeah. And when I say drag me to the finish line of graduating from high school, they dragged me. Like they didn't want to take, all my nonsense and all my excuses. They just didn't accept it. And they, gave me plenty of more opportunities than I actually deserve, because every time somebody tried to give me an opportunity, I kind of just, I just passed on it, or I would agree to something and I would just, do my own thing. So it was different for me. I did actually see, teachers really caring, but I don't know if that's a unique experience or if it's just, if that's something that's going on across the board. I couldn't tell you for sure.
Mm-hmm. I think it's like anything. There's probably good teachers and bad teachers.
Lee, he's disappeared. I don't know if he's still there. Just as I was going to ask Lee a question, he disappears. Well, when he comes back, we'll ask him a question. But he's back. Lee, did you want to say something there just a minute ago?
He looks like a robot. He looks so serious.
Lee has been possessed. I don't know what's going on there. He'll come back to it. Lee, can you hear us? Mork calling Mindy.
Come in, Mindy.
It's like a news interview. Can you hear us? He did just sit there for 5 minutes.
He's had enough. Like, fuck a lot of you. He's like, fuck a lot of you. No, it's an interesting one because, I mean, with my other half who works as a teacher, she works in the teaching profession. Over here in the UK, it's just gone from one extreme to another now, to the extent that it's all to do with figures. So, now it's a case of the school wants to get the best reputation, the best statistics, the best figures that they can get. So they are teaching children, they're trying to make the kids that are half brainy excel. And then just basically the kids that aren't that great, just like trying to brush them under the carpet. That's almost what it looks like, because they're just trying to get the best figures that they can. And it's just so sad to see, because you're seeing so many kids that, okay, they're not an A level student, they're not a top of their field, but they're obviously good at something. They may be dyslexic, and they may not be able to be a guy that can sit on a computer and do amazing handwriting and be a mathematician or a scientist, but they may be amazingly good at fixing cars or being an artist or stuff like that. And it's just so sad to see that education in the UK isn't looking after everyone. They're just trying to excel the brilliant kids, the scientists, the mathematicians, and the kids that are at the bottom of the class. They're almost like, washing the hands of them and saying, "Oh, well, we'll hide you because you're giving our figures, our statistics, you're giving our school a bad name." I don't know what it's like over in the States, but that's how I see it as a parent over in the UK. Now, I'm very lucky that my two boys they didn't get the brains from me, put it that way. They're really, really intelligent kids, and they excel in everything they do. And it's such an honor to have them as be their dad. But there is kids that struggle, and there are kids that have struggled because they haven't had the greatest of starts in life. They may be living with poverty, and it's just so sad to see those kids not getting the help they need in life. And that must be exactly the same over where you are, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it's exactly the same. I know a lot of people are homeschooling now, and they're starting circles so that they can control how they're nurturing their children. And there's charter schools, and there's a lot of schools that are popping up all over the place, because I think there's a basic understanding across the board that their kids aren't getting the support that they need for whatever reason. And there are, I'm sure, really fantastic public schools. Remember Lean on Me? That was such a fantastic movie. I mean, if you've not seen that movie, I highly recommend going and watching it. But it was an inner city school, and a new principal came in and just kicked ass and started, like, really, he had an iron fist, but a big, full, loving heart. And I think that in a nutshell is what is needed, because if I would have felt like somebody cared what I was doing when I was in school, I think I would have shown up differently. And it really is the same thing that applies to even this 5 Deep group. I actually believe that the 4 of you care what I'm doing, and that makes me want to show up. It's a subconscious thing. Like, I know that, like, I know that if I show up, do what I say I want to do, that y'all are going to be proud of me. So that little thing, that thing inside of us that we have when we're children, where we want our parents to be proud of us, it never goes away. It's just a matter of finding. That's what this accountability group is to me. You guys are, for lack of a better example, like my parent. Like, I look up to all of you, and I want to make you proud. So that is why goal achievement and in a circle of accountability is so successful, because whether you know it or not, Mark, you want all of us to, when we give you accolades, it feels good. When I bust somebody's ass or say, "Hey, you said you were going to do such and such and you didn't do it, because I want you guys to do the same for me," it stings. And I just really feel like it's just concern, and that same thing goes back to self-identity. It's concern for the people that you care about, and concern for yourself. I think that's kind of like, for me, what self-identity has been, is the love that I have no problem giving out, and the support that I have had no problem giving out and handing out like it's fucking free candy my whole entire life. I finally decided I've got to give myself the same. I wasn't giving myself shit. I was giving to everybody else because I had a little bit of a martyrdom syndrome going on. And I didn't deem myself worthy of any fucking attention, to be quite honest with you. And I just finally got to a point that I was like, wait, I'm worth it. And how in the hell am I going to be able to show up for anything? I don't care if it's a romantic relationship, a friendship, a job, a goal. How am I going to be able to show up for that successfully if I have no clue what's going on inside my brain or my heart or whatever? So it just got to be the point where self-identity is something that I really want to master. I want to know why it is that I do the shit that I do. It's just, I've got a curiosity about why I am the way that I am. And I've only found all these little nooks and crannies about myself that are doing 2 things. It's making me see my value, which is pertinent in everything you're trying to create. And it's also made me see that I'm worth making changes moving forward. And whether that's my weight, creating a business that's successful, whatever, I have found in self-identity and researching who Harmony is, my value. I found my personal value. And I really believe, and take it to the bank, without individual personal value, you won't accomplish shit. Because at some point you're going to spend so much time like trying to talk yourself into, yeah, you can do it and you're worth it and blah, blah, blah. It's fucking exhausting. I went to the root of it. I went to the root of it. Instead of putting a Band-Aid on an open fucking wound, I just said, okay, how am I best going to accomplish the things that I'm going to accomplish instead of flip-flopping and going back and forth? Let's nurture me and then see what I accomplish, then see what I can contribute to this fucking world. And really, the proof is in the pudding, because ever since I started putting attention into myself, my goal achievements have become a lot easier.
Okay.
So that's why I've been pushing this self-identity thing. It doesn't mean you've got to, like, however self-identity fits into your lifestyle, I just highly recommend it to everybody, whatever that looks like for you. And it's going to be different for everybody. So that's why I wanted to pose the question, like, individually, like, what do you guys do? What's one thing that you do that supports you figuring out who you are as a person? And are you doing anything?
Chuck that one over to Lee, because Lee's back now. Did you want to answer Harmony's question there, Lee?
Oh, what's the one thing I'm doing? Oh, Christ. The one major thing that I'm doing is I'm consistently improving is my mindset. I think you could almost boil everything down to mindset, even self-identity. To figure out what your self-identity is. What is your mindset? Are you even in the mindset to work out what your self-identity is? But yeah, mindset for me is absolutely everything. Everything. How do I operate? How do I navigate my life? How am I pursuing my dream? What am I doing to get to where I want to be? How am I, what's my financial life looking like? How can I don't know, I'm coming up with some sort of trinity of mindset. It's something I'm working on for my website, but personal, financial, and emotional. Those are the three things I'm working on all the time. So I can operate at such a high elite level that, like, I'm almost beyond reproach. Does that make sense for myself?
Can I ask you a part B to that question, Lee? Since you are, we all know it in the group. Lee's working very hard for this mindfulness, like, personal development thing. It's very awesome to see. But my part B of the question is, since you've been doing so much work and devoting so much time in the background through podcasts and classes and books and all the things that you're doing, have the questions that you find yourself asking yourself changed? Have they improved?
Yes.
Yes.
I came up with a saying the other day. If you want exponential results, what was it I said? If you want exponential results, you have to perform exponentially better all the time. And that comes down to what you just said, like with the questions.
Mm-hmm.
You can't keep asking yourself just regular questions. You've got to, you've got to raise that bar every time, because for me, I'm walking through life as how can I put it? Like, I'm the product of what I'm trying to create. So it's no good me saying, oh, I advocate for getting up early and having a cold shower. It means nothing unless I'm getting up early and having a fucking cold shower, which you guys know I do all the time. It's those three things I'm leveling up every day. And as long as I can be even 1% better today than I was yesterday, then I'm heading in the right direction.
Yeah, it's. I figured you would say that, because it is. Once you start showing up a little bit more, do you notice that your goals are shifting? You're tackling hard. You're tackling things that you wouldn't have tackled a week ago or 6 months ago. Your questions are getting different. The conversations that you're having with your internal self shift. And that's where the fucking growth happens. And that's exciting when you feel that exponential growth happen. And so I'm curious, anybody else? So you guys, are you feeling like there's something that you've been doing that's been working and you feel like you're having some real forward motion in your growth?
I've noticed with me, we mentioned this last week, I've always been a Zebedee kind of character, bouncing from one hobby to the next, one thing to the next. And we've talked about it in the past, how I will do something and then I want to do something else, then I want to do something else. And I've always I've never excelled in something because I've always let a negative belief kick in, or I've always let, just as I'm about to do something amazing, I'll then say, oh, Mark, you're not good enough, and then I'll move on to the next topic, hobby, whatever it may be. But what I've looked at myself now, and I've said to myself, right, Mark, all you need to do is be consistent, right? It doesn't matter what you're doing in life, just be consistent, right? And just enjoy what you're doing at the time, and just give it your best that you can give it, and have fun with it. And that's what I'm doing at the moment. You know, I've just set up this upcycling thing that I'm doing, and I'm really, really enjoying it, and I'm being consistent. I'm a guy that likes to talk to people, and I like to share what I do. So does it really matter that I'm flipping from one thing to another, as long as I'm being consistent and having fun and enjoying what I'm doing? So for me, right, it is the most important thing, that how I self-identify is at the moment, is rather than hiding from being that Zebedee, that person bouncing from one thing to another, right, just openly admit, that's the way I am, like it or lump it. But whatever I'm involved in at the moment, I'm going to give it 100% and be consistently putting shit out there. So that's how I'm self-identifying at the moment, if that makes any sense at all.
And that's a good thing, though. Look at it like a good thing, Mark, because you can't, how do you know what you're going to enjoy and like if you're not experiencing the buffet?
Exactly.
So a lot
Yeah.
of people look around and they say, oh, you're jumping from this shit to that shit. They don't know what the fuck. You know what? Take your opinion and shove it up your ass, because you don't know what's going on in my head. You have no clue what
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out. At least I'm getting myself out there and I'm trying different things, and I might try it for 6 months and give up and walk away. But you didn't lose that 6 months. You learned something about yourself while you were experiencing whatever it was that you were into that week or whatever. You know what I mean? You're collecting, like a video game. You're collecting little pieces of knowledge about who Mark is as an individual to move forward. And you might shift another 10 things and try another 10 things. But I think that's the best way to experience life, is to experience the buffet. I mean, you're just getting to know yourself. I think it's fantastic.
Well, the problem is not everybody is like Rodney, or not everybody is that they know exactly what they want to do at the age of 15. You know, lots and lots of people have to go out there and try this and try that. How many people in the world go to university to get a degree and an honors and then leave and then never do that again? And they say, oh, well, I made a mistake because I spent 5 years of my life doing that course that I've never done anything with. No, you didn't make a mistake. You went out there, you got a qualification, and you realize that that's not for you. That's not a mistake. That's part of the education. And Howard's nodding his head there. I don't know whether he's got something that he wants to say on that one.
Yeah, a few things if you got a few moments here. First of all, one thing that I've done for myself consistently since I was a little kid is exercise of some sorts. I was a fat kid. They used to call me the Pillsbury Doughboy because I had these big old rolls and stuff. And it wasn't until I started consistently going out with my friends and running around playing football and everything like that, I lost a lot of weight. And then when I went the other direction, I lost all the weight and I became Sammy. Please, buddy. And then he's ministry sense too.
He's having fun.
When I went the other direction and became too thin, then it was exercise that helped, and I think it helped save my life as well. Now, not to the same degree. It doesn't work out nearly as hard or anything like that because you can't. But even today, whether it's going to the trails or just doing something as simple as doing some planks or something like that, it's still that showing up to work out, and then it does so many benefits for you, not physically, but also mentally. And then it helps also set you up for other goals you're doing. When I work out, I know when I go to the trails and I finish running, I know right after that's the time where I'm going to want to just like go out there and just do whatever I can to try to move forward on my goals. Like, okay, I'm ready to crush it.
Yep.
Also, I am glad, Harmony, that you didn't have that joke there where you said like, F you, whatever, when I had some Howard's Blend plant-based protein powder with 20 grams of plant-based protein. I have some over here in my mouth because I would have spit it all over the screen. But real quick, onto the school, because I did have some thoughts on the school. My opinion is the current school system, it is teaching kids how to be employees, not how to learn what to do. If you think about how the school day is set up, you have to be at school on time. You have to be at work on a particular time. You take scheduled breaks. You have a scheduled lunch. Now, you may not have to ask your employer, at least I hope so. You have to ask your employer to go to the restroom, but they're teaching them from a young age to learn that, hey, this is the hierarchy. You have the teacher who's like your supervisor, then the principal who's like the CEO or whatever, and you need to listen to authority, and don't you dare question authority.
Yes.
Don't you dare talk back to the teacher, just like what it is now. How dare you speak out against, whatever the topic du jour is, what everybody's like, change their Instagram bios to support. And that's my opinion on the school system. But
Totally agree. What a good example, Howard, because it is. It's like the Pink Floyd The Wall video, and all the kids marching through the factory and they fall down into the meat grinder. It really is. It's just like grooming.
Just another brick in the wall.
This is how you're supposed to do life, and don't deviate. Don't you dare deviate. And I say, fuck
the problem is that's not how the world operates now. Like, we're almost educating kids for an economy that shifted twice. Like, we're educating people to take part in the Industrial Revolution. We're not in the Industrial Revolution. Like in the UK, we had this Industrial Revolution. Then we spent the next 80 years becoming a service-based economy. And that's changed again in the last 6-7 years. And it just doesn't gel. The educator, I disagree with what Mark said earlier on. It's so easy to change it. Get some fucker who knows what they're doing in Parliament and say the school system isn't working. We need to start getting our kids to think about entrepreneurialism, thinking outside the box, and thinking on their feet. If we got kids to think entrepreneurially, imagine what, let's say, the UK would look like in 20 years' time. My God. Like, why do you think the biggest companies on earth are created in America? Because they're encouraged, because there's a meritocracy, that everybody's encouraged to think for themselves and get themselves into this corner and then go, shit, how the hell do I get out of it? Like, I mean, I'm painting it with a broad brush here, but we look for answers from other people over here. We're not educated to go, right, how the hell do I get out of this situation? I fucked this up. What do I do now? There's a sense of shame when it comes to failure here. And it might just be the content that I consume on the internet. But in the States, failure is celebrated. And there's just that weird dynamic between, the States and the UK, probably other European countries as well. But it's just...
Have you ever thought about going into politics, Lee? Because I think you could really, I mean that seriously. Like, even if it was your city council, which is like a local, like, could you guys not see Lee really being a face of change in even if he just started with his school district, or he started with his city that he's in? I mean, you laugh, but you're very passionate, and you are a dad. You have a family. You are contributing to the community around you, and it's people like you that are passionate and have come, especially they've experienced something, they've come back from that, and you've pulled yourself out of that and are continuing to pull yourself out of that all the time. So you would be a perfect person to go into change, to be a face of change, whatever that looks like, whatever you were passionate about and wanted to support. But I could totally see you doing something like that.
I think the problem is, at the moment with politics in the UK, is it's very much like education, right? It needs to change. Politics needs to change. Education needs to change. And there's so many people in the UK, and this is just talking about UK politics because I can't talk about politics in the States, but there's so many people that love learning about politics. There's so many youngsters that love politics, but they don't want to get involved, right? Because they know they're not going to get listened. Because there's the old politicians that are stuck in their own old Rees-Mogg and people like that stuff up upper lip, and they just like, oh no, well, this is how we do it. This is how it should be done.
They're not going to be around forever.
I know, but it's breaking the system. That's the problem. It's like education. It needs people to stand up and say, no, we're not going to be dictated to anymore. We're not having none of this shit anymore. We want to learn this. And it's the same with politics. Over in the UK, they still wear freaking wigs and shit in court, and all that.
I do think that's kind of cool looking, though, with the wigs.
Well, it might be, but things need to fucking change. They need to change. I'm just fed up of living in a country where oh, we wear wigs to look cool. No, you wear wigs because
What
you
is
just,
the reason for the wigs? Anybody
they're
know?
just cockwombles, a lot of them. They just need the whole
The
system needs to change.
The reason they wear wigs is because when they're in court, they can't be identified.
Lee, you run on that platform, Lee, to get rid of the wigs. And that's your main platform. to run on.
Hashtag no wigs.
I thought that once upon a time, and I might be wrong with this, I thought that once upon a time, right, they had a problem with the hair falling out and stuff like that. So they used to wear wigs to cover up the bowl patches and all that sort of stuff.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
but
hilarious.
in all honesty, it wouldn't matter what they wore if they were doing what you thought was the right thing. You know, you wouldn't give a shit if they
True
wore
that.
wigs or
But anyway,
cargo shorts.
we're going off track. We've been going for 1 hour, 5 minutes. I want to try and wind up here. I just want to say a big shout out to Marta. Is it Marta Rivera? I think that's how you pronounce it. She gave us a little wave. I just want to say a big shout out to you. I did try to post a message back, but the problem is my keyboard's not working. So I was trying drastically to try and get the freaking thing to work, but it's a Bluetooth one and my batteries have run out. So I just want to say a big hello to you there and thank you very much for watching. Round up quickly, and before we go quickly into how we've done with our goals this month, self-identify. How do you self-identify? What happens if you've got a problem self-identifying? What? Just quickly, very, very quickly, starting with you, Rodney. If you're having problems self-identifying, what advice would you give somebody?
I would say take inventory of the things you're doing. Like for me, one of the main things I do, one of the things that is working for me is just being extremely honest with myself, and also being honest, with the people around me. And I think, that's gotten to me the best results because at one point, because like I said, like I shared with you guys earlier, I'm still, that 5-year-old kid. That's when I didn't have a voice. And over the years, I learned not to speak up for myself, not to be honest about things, to hide things, to be afraid. So once I started to be more honest with myself and let people see me for who I actually am, then the people that care about you and the people that are honestly that are with you, they'll be with you through the best and the worst parts of your life. And for me, that's one of those things that help me start to get more comfortable with who I am. It's like, because a lot of me not being who I really am was being afraid to be judged. So once that judgment was removed, that was good.
Sorry, Rodney. Harmony, what tip would you give somebody that doesn't know who they are? How do they find their self-identification?
Start spending some time with yourself. Very simply put, like even if it's 20 minutes, even if you go and park at a park before you go home and, see your husband, your kids, wife, kids, girlfriend, whatever, find some time to spend alone doing something that is going to contribute to thought process. You know what I mean? That would be my advice in a brief way.
Sweet. Lee, over to you.
This goes out to everybody, I suppose, but focusing on young lads, young girls, the youth. Do everything you possibly can and fail at it.
That's a good one. That is awesome.
Really? See, I told you.
And then if you need some help, just head over to leemakin.com for coaching.
After you work out and have some Howard's Blend.
What's going on with this? What's going on with all these plugs here? I mean, I know I'm going to ask the same question to Howard now. I wouldn't be surprised if a packet of his protein stuff.
Well, I had to step away for a minute because there was a knock at the door and some Howard's Blend plant-based protein powder. Howard's Blend plant-based protein powder was delivered. So at howardsblend.com on Instagram.
Where can we find that anyway, Howard?
At Howard's Blend on Instagram.
Awesome. Sweet. What would you say then, mate? What tip would you give anybody that's unsure of who they are? How, self-identification. What would you tell them?
Everybody else's answer has been wonderful. I agree with this, getting time alone, being honest with yourself, failing as many times as you can. Listen to yourself, and that could be, I know Harmony's big into like what is it, journaling, which I've done journaling before. But listen to yourself. When I say listen to yourself, listen to your thoughts. What do you say about yourself? This goes like, I guess, into self-identifying, which I was not here for, but yeah, listen. What thoughts do you have? We talked about how you have mostly negative thoughts. Pay attention to those thoughts, listen to them, and then yeah, it's basically it. Pay attention to your thoughts and don't be so negative on yourself all the time.
Great advice, guys. For me, I would just like to round off by saying, love yourself. Have trust in yourself. And if you want to go out dressed as Superman, if you want to be a tightrope walker, whatever you want to be in life, have faith in your ability and love what you do, and just get out there and just have fun. Like Lee said, make loads and loads of mistakes and not give a shit what anybody thinks, because it's your life, you live it, and enjoy everything you seriously do. I'd like to quickly walk around the room here now and ask very, very quickly, goals for March. How do we do with our goals for March, and what are you going to be doing in April? First of all, you, Rodney.
Yeah, I worked the hour that I wanted to work. I got a decent amount of workouts. Not as many as I would have liked, but made a little money and took care of my physical health.
What about in April? What are you going to do? Continue what you're doing?
Yeah, make some more money, physical health, and take a little time for myself.
Cool. Harmony, what about you?
March was amazing. I can't believe it's April. Is anybody else freaking out that it's April?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Big time.
Having honest people around you. Oh, I'm so distracted easily. That's sweet. It's fun having people on. You guys, let's look at our growth, because we're in episode 9 today. Thank you so much, Marta. We're episode 9, and we've had some interaction today. We've had people watching the whole time. We've had people commenting. I think that's fantastic. So big ups to us and consistency. But yeah, so March was great. It flew by. April is going to be all the same. Getting up earlier. That's you guys bust my balls on that. Be like, Harmony, what time are you getting up tomorrow? Or Harmony, what time did you get up? You don't have to ask me every day, but just know that if I think that randomly you're going to be like, Harmony, what time did your ass get out of bed this morning? I'm not going to be able to lie to you. So if I feel like it's like a random drug screening, like if I don't know when y'all are going to ask me, I have to be on my A game. I can't mess up. No floundering about.
Do you want me to give you a little nudge when I get up for work?
I don't think Nikki would like that very much.
What about you, Lee? How was March, and what are you going to be doing for April?
Yeah, March was a bit of a health kick. Getting up early, getting into a morning routine. Absolutely crushed it. So I'm going to continue to do that, refine that. And in April, I am focusing on my website and my coaching business, and setting up a mastermind group. So I'm going to crush that as well.
Really looking forward to that.
Is that the proper address, Mark? I mean, Lee?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
.com. Howard, at the International Space Station, what was your March like? What are you going to be doing for April?
March was good. I think my goal was to finalize a manufacturer. Have not done that. I'm waiting back on. I got a quote from a manufacturer. I'm waiting back on another one.
There it is. There's the quote. Perfect timing.
I'm sure he waits till you start talking, and then he just goes freaking crazy. There he is. Look, there's Sammy.
Bring Sammy on. Let's see Sammy.
There he is.
Hey,
Damn, what up? What up, homie?
There's Sammy. That was hilarious.
He's like a cold spring, that one. Yeah, come on, mate.
I'll try. Oh man. Yeah, the goal for April, I may have to go back to the drawing board on this with the supplement. I'm not sure yet. I've had some, just to be real quick, but I've had some financial obligations that have come up that is going to involve a lot of money for me that I can't avoid, and I don't know how that's going to impact the supplement yet. So I'm kind of leaving it open, but I have some ideas in case it doesn't go my way. I have some ideas to get back on my feet. So
pivot.
Exciting.
Yes.
Looking forward to that. For me, March was a bit of a funny month, really. I had COVID, which knocked me for 6 and put me behind a little bit. But whilst that was happening, it did get me looking at starting up this my new venture, which is called Proper Job, upcycling some furniture. So I've, that's another another arrow to my bow. For me, I didn't do as well as what I wanted to do with my health. But for April, it is just carrying on being Zebedee, binging around from here to there, being consistently showing up, having fun, and just enjoying the things I do in life, and being with you guys. And we've done some amazing things, guys. All of us this month, we've worked really, really hard. We've set this up. We've gone from setting up our podcast to now setting this up on StreamYard so that we can go live on YouTube. We've all done loads of amazing things. Lee's doing his mindset stuff. Harmony's just being Harmony. Howard's, making lines of protein powder and shoving it up his nose. And Rodney's selling houses. Between us, we are the 5 amigos, and we're doing amazing things. And I'm so, so proud of us all. And,
I'm also, I appreciate it so much, but I've been trying to work in the background over here. So if you guys see me looking, I'm trying to create a banner for your Instagram Proper Job Upcycling page, and you're the
Proper Job.
you're the fucking underscore king. Like, I was like, what the fuck with the 2 underscores?
Yes, it's proper underscore job underscore.
First rule of thumb, ditch the fucking underscores. They're just nothing but a big pain in the ass to everybody. Sorry if anybody's out there got underscore, but
you can have one continuous word and all that shit. And that was the only thing I could think of at the time and slot it in. So it is a pain in the ass. But
there it is, y'all.
Proper job, you. Yeah.
Yeah, say proper job again, Mark.
What's on your party? It's Mark here from Cornwall. We're having a proper job, you. What's on you party? Party or proper job?
Cheers and gone.
Cheers and gone. There was somebody on my page the other day, and I said, here we are, here's my latest bit of furniture that I've made, and I think you'll all agree it's a proper job. And she comes back and she goes, oh my God, she goes, I've just worked out what proper job means. And she's obviously from America, and she didn't know what proper job meant. So
I love the name.
It's a proper job, Lee, isn't it?
It's proper job. Proper job.
In Cornwall, a group of people is a party, and an individual person is a pard. So we are we're a party of people, and I'm a pard.
And if Mark does if Mark does really well, then it's Gert Lush.
Never heard of that. I
Howard,
think that's
you know what's going on here. Howard,
Gert
do you have
Lush.
any idea what's going on? I have no idea what's going on.
I'm a pard.
What's on you, party? It's Mark here. Cheers and gone. Right. Let's wrap it up, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We've had
for the bullhorns in the morning.
We've had some great conversation. It's been enjoyable once again. April is going to be a banging month. I know that we're all going to have some great fun and get out there and just smash it again. Can't wait to be here with you guys for the month of April. I might not be here next week. Might not be, because I think Nikki's going to be taking us away on holiday. Perhaps we're looking to get a late minute deal somewhere. If not, we'll end up down the caravan. I've got the week off, so I may not be here. So one of you lucky people will have to take the bull by the horns. So that's that. But anyway, guys, Harmony, do you want to tell the world where they can get hold of us and
yes,
shut up shop?
Right there on the screen, Official 5 Deep on Instagram. And in between now and when we show up next Monday live, if you guys have anything that you want us to talk about, if you want to know something about us on a personal level, on a business level, us as a group, us as pards, individuals.
Party or individual.
Yeah, but party, but a pard is an individual, right?
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
us as a group, us as individuals. See, it's fucking weird. I mean, let's just ditch that. Us as individuals, reach out, because we want to talk to you guys. We want to help, and everybody's got their specialty here. So Mark's got all the awesome things he's doing with his Mark Jeffrey podcast and his Proper Job Upcycling. Rodney, his real estate awesomeness, and then all the things that Rodney has to get in here, because he's got some serious wisdom going on. And I would love to hear more from Rodney. I'm sure you guys would too. And then Howard Protein Powder, LeeMeekin.com, and his awesome coaching, and then all the crazy shit I've got going on. You can find me on Instagram. So just reach out to us. We want to hear from you, and we're only as good as you allow us to be. So please reach out and connect with us.
Right, guys. I got to head off down to the treacle mines. I've got to get down to Lanzoogle and for some treacle. So I'm going to say this is Mark Jeffrey. Cheers and gone. Thank you very much. This is official 5 Deep, and cheers and gone.
See ya, everybody.
Just remember.
Bye bye.
Peace.